the admission of the Africa Union as a permanent member of this eminent group. Sincerely thank the leadership of Narendra Modi for facilitating this historic achievement. The lack of inclusivity in some multilateral processes has been the driving cause of global inequalities, inequities, and growing mistrust. G20's admission of Africa, a continent of over 1.3 billion people, was therefore a big step in the right direction. At the recent 78th United Nations General Assembly, my national statement, like many others, focused on the dysfunctional nature of our multilateralism. We are witnessing every day how the UN is becoming challenged for an unfair and iniquitous system. The same is the case for the global financial system, which is struggling with the prevailing financial and many developing countries to provide core services to its citizens. Many countries in Africa, for example, are spending more on debt servicing than on health. Presently, 23 African countries are either in moderate or high risk of fiscal distress. A new, reformed financial architecture is a necessity, and the Global South must close ranks and push for a fairer international financial architecture. The situation is further compounded by high food and fuel prices, challenges with the balance of payments, currency deterioration, and emerging political conflict. This is why Africa and countries in the Global South remain the most affected by the effects of climate crisis. The twin fiscal crisis of liquidity and solvency in sovereign states portend a difficult environment for investment and future growth. In 2 weeks, we are going to COP28 in Dubai. This is a most significant COP, given that we will be discussing the global stock take on how the world is performing towards the attainment of the Paris Agreement goals. Like the report on the midterm assessment of SDGs presented at UN General Assembly in September, the global stock take, as well as the adaptation gap report released by UNEP a few days ago, all point to a reality of a world on a wrong trajectory. The magnitude and urgency of the interconnected challenges we all face require transformational changes and collective action. The Global South Coalition will play a most significant role in rallying our efforts, commitments, and aspirations in this direction. The solidarity of the Global South is therefore crucial more than ever to speak with one voice and push positive global financial and economic transition in harmony with nature, and to make Africa this time round a leader in technology development, technology use, and to use technology and digitization to leapfrog Africa, Global South, into the global development stage. That was the message and the outcome of the inaugural Africa Climate Summit that Kenya hosted last September, where Africa put forward bold commitments and proposals for a more prosperous global world. I am confident this forum, the voice of the Global South Summit, can help in course correction that is needed. Let me commend Prime Minister Modi again for his steadfastness and convening of this inaugural summit. Excellencies, Kenya remains firm in our commitment to the South-South cooperation and the voice of Global South influencing global development. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Kyrgyz Republic, His Excellency, Mr. Sadar Nurgoyevich Zaparov, to deliver his remarks.
Dear Mr. Narendra Modi, dear heads of states, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the distinguished Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, for hosting this important summit and cordially greet all participants. The Kyrgyz Republic fully supports India's efforts to increase the world community's attention to the issues of sustainable development in the Global South. We share the assessment of the commonality of the problems of the entire world economy, and the developing countries of the world are an important and indivisible part of it. Modern challenges and threats related to food, energy, climate or military are common for all countries and for all continents without exception. Today the world is at a dangerous turning point when we are faced with serious threats to international security, problems in establishing positive interaction and mutual assistance, interfaith and intercultural dialogue. This summit is aimed at uniting and integrating the countries of the Global South in solving our common problems in the field of development and security. This is extremely important in the context of conflicts and crises that are occurring today in different parts of our planet. Dear summit participants, the Kyrgyz Republic is a mountainous country in the heart of Central Asia that holds enormous reserves of clean hydropower and is actively promoting a green economy. Further, melting of glaciers and decline of water levels could worsen global and regional food instability, increasing poverty, migration, and inequality. Therefore, we pay special attention to the preservation of glaciers and mountain ecosystems, and advocate designated funding for the most vulnerable areas of developing mountainous countries, including through creation of a special fund under the auspices of the UN. In the end of my speech, I would like to express the hope that the current global challenges and risks, from the climate crisis and the threat to food security to growing inequality, will unite the international community without division into South and North. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of Madagascar, His Excellency, Mr. Richard Ravalomanana, to deliver his remarks.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of state, Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, distinguished participants. As acting head of state of the Republic of Madagascar, due to the ongoing presidential elections, I am honored to be able to participate in this second Voice of Global South Summit. It's also an immense privilege for our country. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to the Indian Prime Minister, His Excellency Narendra Modi, for his invitation. At the same time, I congratulate the leadership of the Indian government for hosting and organization this summit. It's truly a concrete illustration of the Indian philosophy of Vasudevaya Kutumbakam, where the world is one family. Indeed, at a time when we are weakened by global crisis of kinds, it's important that we join hands and work together to find solutions to get us home. We have hope for the future, given that Madagascar still has great economic potential that has yet to be fully tapped. In particular, thanks to this summit, the voice and aspiration of countries of the South, which represent 3/4 of the world's population, can now be reported and heard at G20 level. Once again, I'd like to thank the Indian government for this approach and hope that it will develop further in the years to come. Madagascar was already able to take part in the first summit on January this year. For the second summit, we reiterate our support for the initiative with the aim of moving Madagascar forward towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, with priority given to SDG 7, use of renewable energies, 8, access to decent jobs, 13, combating climate change, and 16, justice and peace. As part of the implementation of the Madagascar Emergency Plan, and with a view for releasing the strategic action around the 13 axes of effort of President Andra Dwell during his term of office, over the past 5 years, we've undertaken numerous projects in the field of energy, health, and industrialization. In short, Madagascar has already overcome countless challenges, but we still have a long way to go to emerge from our precarious states. That's why we are launching an appeal for win-win funding for our development projects. We are in search of lasting partnerships to achieve effective results in promoting the industrialization and modernization of Madagascar. On another subject, I would like to take advantage of this summit to raise the issue of climate change, of which we are among the first victims, even though our net greenhouse gas emissions represent only 0.1% of global emissions. We would like the G20 to advocate on our behalf and increase in funding for the protection of our country's biodiversity, for development, and for the fight against climate change, in support of the various requests we've already made at different levels. Excellencies, the heads of state, Excellency, the Prime Minister, distinguished participants, I remain convinced that this initiative can make a significant contribution to building a prosperous and inclusive future for the world in general and for the countries of the South in particular. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius, Honorable Praveen Kumar Jagnap to deliver his remarks.
The Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Excellencies, Heads of Delegation, Namaste. I would like to thank the Government of India for inviting Mauritius to participate in the Leaders Session of the Second Voice of Global South Summit. As we continue to witness waves of uncertainty, the timing of this present session is more than opportune. Indeed, drawing from the very successful and positive outcome of the New Delhi G20 Leaders Summit, it provides us a window of opportunity for our voice of the Global South to be heard. As we gather today to discuss the changes within the existing global governance architecture, with the objective of leaving no one behind, it is essential that the reform agenda places a stronger focus on the most vulnerable countries, in particular the small island developing states. It is useful to remind that small island developing states, which contribute less than 1% to global greenhouse gas emissions, are the most heavily impacted countries by the scourge of climate change. And Mauritius is highly climate vulnerable. Recently, we had to grapple with heavy rainfalls, which in turn caused acute flash floods and damage to infrastructure as well as to property. As the cyclone season in the Indian Ocean has just started, we can only hope that Mauritius and other island states will be spared from the devastating effects. Mauritius has pledged to achieve 60% of renewable energy production by 2030. Addressing the set target would require significant financial resources, notwithstanding our low carbon footprint. Climate finance, which was amongst others designed to reduce vulnerability while increasing resilience, fails to accommodate the unique needs of SIDS. There is a need for climate justice given the existential threat of global warming. Instead of GDP per capita, climate vulnerability could be the criterion for easy access to concessional climate finance. We commend the Indian presidency of the G20 for its laudable efforts towards recognizing for the first time the vulnerabilities of SIDS in the New Delhi G20 Leaders Declaration. Likewise, Mauritius supports the declaration made by African countries at the inaugural Africa Climate Summit that was held in Nairobi in September 2023, calling for the implementation of the Loss and Damage Fund. However, we regret the absence of consensus and more particularly on the domiciliation of the fund. Mauritius believes that the quick implementation of the Loss and Damage Fund is crucial. Excellencies, collectively we can take bold and ambitious measures to change the destiny of our planet for our present and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of Nauru, His Excellency Mr. David Adeng, to deliver his remarks, please.
His Excellency Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. At the outset, I would like to thank His Excellency Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, Government of India, for convening the second voice of the Global South Summit. Prime Minister Modi has time and again demonstrated his commitment to empowering developing countries to pursue their national development priorities. In this regard, I would like to congratulate the Prime Minister on their very successful presidency of the G20, and further to thank him for placing the challenges of the Global South at the center of discussions. Let me take this opportunity to extend deep gratitude to the government of India for their continuous support to the Republic of Nauru in addressing our country's critical issues. We are committed to fulfilling our commitments and ensuring the implementation of the pledges. While geopolitics conflicts have rightfully been the focus of the world's attention, we should not let them overshadow the enormity of the G20 outcome, which went straight to the root of our challenges today, the global financial system. It is uncontroversial, indeed almost cliché, to say that financial investment needs to be better directed toward climate and sustainable development priorities. However, there has been little movement toward structural reform of the prevailing system. The G20 outcome changes that. Through India's leadership and skilled diplomacy, the 20 most powerful governments in the world agree that changes must be made to our financial institutions, and the unsustainable debt burdens of developing countries must be tackled head-on. This is absolutely critical for a vulnerable Pacific Island nation like Nauru, where our long-term viability rests on the ability to make critical investments in basic climate resilience infrastructure. Nauru is caught in a trap. We are a little too wealthy to qualify for significant development aid, but too poor to fund it ourselves. All of our economic metrics are heavily skewed by an enormously inflated cost of living due to our geographical isolation and dependence. As of today, Nauru is completely disqualified from accessing money of any kind from the World Bank. And while we wait for global pledges for climate and development finance to be fulfilled, we nonetheless continue to service our unsustainable debt burden rather than making investments in our country and in our people. This situation is compounded by a pressing banking crisis in our country. We are actively exploring new avenues for banking services to address this critical financial situation. For these reasons, I must applaud India for placing the issue of financial reform at the center of G20 discussions, and I implore all countries to not allow this issue to disappear on the political radar once again. The G20 made one other landmark decision under India's presidency by granting a seat to Africa. Nauru applauds this move wholeheartedly and would urge members to provide greater opportunities for engagement by small island developing states at the G20 as well. As the President of Nauru, I bring to this platform my government's commitment for sustainable collaboration to set a stage for a future of unity and trust. The theme today, together for everyone's growth with everyone's trust. We stand united with the larger community of nations in forging a future with shared prosperity and unwavering trust. May God bless the Forum and Pacific Islands Cooperation, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the Independent State of Papua New Guinea, Honorable James Marape, to deliver his remarks.
Let me say firstly, thank you very much, His Excellency Prime Minister Modi, for your continuous hospitality to not just Papua New Guinea, but the Global South. Our country still remembers you very, very well. You were so gracious to visit us 21st of May this year, in which you and me hosted this wonderful meeting for leaders of the South Pacific countries. All Pacific Island countries did show up, giving respect to yourself, and for us to have conversation on climate change mitigations, how to relieve the developing nations on the burdens as a result of imported inflation, poverty alleviation, and a wide range of things in which you led your country to offer assistance to the South Pacific Island countries in simple but more effectively poverty alleviation development partnership programs that you did assure Pacific Island countries like desalination, clean energy, and the help to the underprivileged. I just want to commend your leadership. Thank you for once again being a strong advocate for the Global South your second summit that you're hosting for the Global South nations, entitled Voice of the South for Human-Centric Development, is hugely commented. India has emerged under your watch as the leading nation of the Global South. And I just want to continue on encouraging you to be a strong advocate for those of us who are emerging as developing in the developing nations perspective. And I want to put one pointer here. Whilst industrialization may have been the cause of climate change in the last 100 years, I want to also throw into this picture going forward. It will be really poverty. Poverty that will be a major force in the underprivileged people in developing nations as well as in advanced nations, all trying their best to survive in planet Earth. And so sharing the wealth, supporting each other, ensuring all nations grow into developed states must be the work of all nations, supporting each other side by side. And I want to thank you for hosting this summit once again, encouraging all of us to think about helping each other. India being the biggest democracy amongst developing nations, you have taken leadership. I want to commend your own leadership, Prime Minister Modi. Papua New Guinea remembers your gracious words when you visited us, and we're still very fond of you and looking forward to visiting India early next year. But I want to, at this juncture, say thank you for hosting a second summit in as far as the Global South conversations are concerned. This follows on from your strong leadership in the host of G20 also this year. I want to personally commend you for your strong leadership on the global stage as a global statesman. Keep on playing this role and your advocacy for developing nations. The Global South is not here. And I want to conclude by commending Prime Minister Modi. You're a global senior statesman. You've led India very, very well. You've hosted G20 and the world came to you. You're now hosting the second conference, summit for the Global South. The world is coming to you again. Remain firm in your leadership. Let's find solutions for the underdeveloped countries, the developing countries, the Global South, to also find a place in the family of nations. We belong to one humanity. The world must think preserving humanity first, then thinking hierarchical, thinking small, thinking inward, thinking on a country-to-country level. We must think about preserving our global village, our one humanity, as we work into the future. Climate change, with all sorts of issues facing us, food insecurity, energy insecurity, insecurity due to global weather pattern changes. The world must think one. Humanity must think one. And I appreciate India, Prime Minister of India, His Excellency Prime Minister Modi. You lead 1.4 to 5 billion people. Your continued advocacy for those of us who are developing nations is noted. We're really behind your call for progress and human-centric development, embracing all people, irrespective of religion, irrespective of race, irrespective of status. We must think humanity, and I want to place my greatest appreciation for your continued leadership in this space. To all our Global South, let's put our people first wherever we are placed as far as leadership is concerned. God bless you all. Greetings from Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Prime Minister of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Kassim Majaliwa, to kindly deliver his remarks.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and congratulations to you all for taking part in the second Voice of Global South Summit. Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, apologizes for her absence due to other equal national commitments, and I bring to you her warm greetings. I want to acknowledge and I thank Your Excellency Honorable Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, for hosting this summit and for India's exceptional G20 presidency in 2023, which laid the foundation of this important gathering. Excellencies, the theme of this summit, Together for Everyone Growth, with Everyone Trust, is particularly relevant in our complex and uncertain global landscape. The global economy is highly interconnected, although we are witnessing significant economic inequalities between nations and individuals, especially in the global south. By uniting our efforts, we can overcome obstacles and achieve inclusive sustainable development. Excellencies, in line with the theme of this summit, the government of Tanzania would like to commend the following. First, the global south should invest in climate solutions to achieve sustainable development. Second, the global community should focus on ensuring more equal and evenly distribution of international trade benefits. Thirdly, reforming the global financial architecture is crucial for the global south in the changing global economy. Fourthly, re-evaluating the supermajority voting rule that has allowed the United Nations spirit of veto to spread in the Bretton Woods institution for inclusive financial diplomacy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I would like to express my appreciations to the organizers for their meticulous planning and execution of this summit. Thanks to everyone for your presence, contributions, and commitment to the idea of unity, growth, and trust. Your involvement in this summit will shape policies and actions that drive positive change in our nations and the global community. Let us continue working together to create a prosperous future for the global south. Asante sana. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Mr. Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos, to deliver his remarks.
I'm happy to join you as you hold the second Voice of Global South Summit. I admire the efforts of the organizers and stakeholders in holding this event that brings together leaders of developing countries to address the challenges hampering the progress of our nations. May the second Voice of Global South Summit lead us towards creating data-driven initiatives, forging stronger partnerships, and fostering innovations and technologies with our key partners. Let this event also attest to our collective resolve to transform the lives of our peoples, especially the marginalized, and harness their contribution to the realization of our development goals. Know that the Philippines is ever united with the global community in nurturing equitability, inclusivity, and sustainability amongst our societies and our economies. I wish everyone a productive summit and success in all your noble pursuits. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Thank you, Excellency. I now invite the Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of Kingdom of Bhutan, His Excellency Chogyal Tago Rinzing, to deliver his remarks.
His Excellency Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, distinguished leaders of the Global South, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to participate in the second edition of the Voice of Global South Summit today. I would like to express my appreciation to Government of India for the invitation and for hosting this very timely summit. In passing, I would like to take this opportunity to inform this esteemed gathering that Bhutan is in election period, conducting its fourth parliamentary elections. The third government completed its 5-year term on 31st October 2023. As per our Constitution, His Majesty the King appointed an interim government. I am currently serving as the head of interim government, joined by 8 advisors overseeing administrative functions and ensuring that elections are conducted smoothly. The primary round poll day will be on 30th November 2023 and the general election on 9th January 2024. The results of the elections shall be announced on the respective poll days itself. Excellencies, I wish to acknowledge and express my appreciation to His Excellency Prime Minister Modi for his personal efforts in providing the countries of the Global South the much-needed platform to exchange views, sharing priorities, and make suggestions on a wide range of global matters. I join the nations assembled here today in affirming our dedication to the leaders of